What would you do if a famous singer walked into your workplace and handed you a note that changed your life forever? That's exactly what happened to Mia Johnson, a struggling waitress at a small highway diner. The eviction notice taped to Mia's apartment door gave her 7 days to pay $1,200 or be thrown out with her 6-year-old son. 7 days to find money she didn't have. 7 days before they might end up sleeping in her rusted 1998 Honda Civic. You heading out soon? Rick called from the kitchen of the roadside diner. Got 1 more hour, Mia replied, tucking the $27 in tips into her pocket. Not even enough to cover Jordan's overdue school lunch payments. The diner sat just off Highway 40, a forgotten spot where truckers and travelers stopped for cheap coffee and greasy burgers. The floor tiles were cracked, the booths patched with duct tape, but the food was hot. For 6 years, Mia had worked here, ever since Jordan's father vanished with their savings and left her alone with a baby. Tonight was worse than most. Jordan's teacher had called. He needed new shoes. The electricity company threatened to cut them off. And this morning, Mia found her son trying to make his own breakfast because Mommy looked too tired to get up. The guilt weighed on her as she wiped down tables, her uniform stained with ketchup and coffee. Her dreams of college had died the day she became a single mom. "Order up," Rick shouted, sliding 2 plates onto the counter. Mia grabbed them, her raw hands stinging from the hot plates. She'd been washing dishes all day after the dishwasher called in sick. Extra work meant extra tips, and she needed every penny. The clock read 6:58 p.m. The dinner rush was ending. Mrs. Wilson from apartment 3B was watching Jordan tonight. The elderly woman never asked for money, saying Mia's weekly grocery help was enough. Without her, Mia would have lost her job months ago. "You got table 7, called Darlene, the other waitress, grabbing her purse. "My kid's got a fever. Frank said you could cover." Mia nodded, though her feet felt like they were walking on glass. Another table meant maybe $5 more in tips. $5 closer to keeping a roof over Jordan's head. She straightened her name tag and touched the small photo of Jordan she kept in her apron pocket. His smile, missing 2 front teeth, gave her strength to keep going. The bell above the door chimed. Mia looked up, expecting another truck driver. The woman who walked in wore sunglasses and a baseball cap pulled low, but Mia knew that face from magazines and music videos. Angie Stone, the Grammy-winning R&B legend, had just walked into her section. Why would someone worth millions come to this rundown diner? And why did she ask to sit in Mia's section? Mia had no idea that in the next hour this chance meeting would either save her family or destroy what little she had left. Mia froze by the counter, coffee pot in hand. Was she seeing things? Maybe the 16-hour shifts were finally making her hallucinate. But no, it was really her. Angie Stone, the woman whose songs had played during Mia's high school dances. The voice that had comforted her through pregnancy and those first scary months as a single mom. Angie slid into booth 7, the one with the window view of the highway. She kept her sunglasses on, but took off her cap, revealing her signature short curls. She looked around the empty diner, then back at the menu. "Is that?" Rick whispered from the kitchen window. Mia nodded, her heart pounding. "I think so." "Well, don't just stand there. Go take her order before she thinks we're rude." Mia grabbed her notepad and pen, took a deep breath, and walked over. Her legs felt wobbly, like she might collapse. This woman had sold millions of records, won 3 Grammys, and now she was sitting in Mia's section of a diner that hadn't been renovated since 1992. "Good evening," Mia said, proud that her voice didn't crack. "What can I get for you?" Angie looked up, removing her sunglasses. Her eyes were tired but kind. "Just a coffee and a burger. Medium rare, no onions." "Coming right up," Mia said, writing it down. Her hand shook slightly. As she turned to leave, Angie's voice stopped her. "Busy night?" Mia turned back, surprised. Most customers didn't bother with small talk. "Not too bad. Slowing down now." "You've got a good pace," Angie said. "Not easy to keep up in a place like this." Was Angie Stone complimenting her work ethic? Mia managed a polite smile before heading to the kitchen. Her mind raced with questions. Why was Angie Stone here? This diner was at least 30 miles from the nearest city. She could eat at 5-star restaurants, yet here she was, sipping water from a chipped glass. "I haven't It's really her," Mia whispered to Rick as she handed him the order. My sister went to her concert last year. Paid $200 for the ticket, Rick said, flipping a burger. What's she doing here? I have no idea. As Mia refilled coffee cups for the few remaining customers, she kept glancing at Angie. The singer sat quietly, looking out at the highway, occasionally checking her phone. She seemed sad, tired. It was hard to tell. What Mia didn't know was that Angie Stone had come to this diner for a very specific reason. And by the end of the night, both their lives would change in ways neither could imagine. When the order was ready, Mia carried the plate and coffee to Angie's table. She set them down carefully, catching a brief glance from the singer. Thank you, Angie said simply. You're welcome, Mia replied, trying to sound normal. Can I get you anything else? This is perfect. Mia moved away to serve other tables, but she kept looking back at Angie. The famous singer wasn't in a rush. She ate slowly, taking small bites of her burger and sipping her coffee. She stared out the window a lot, like she was thinking about something important. After a few minutes, Mia went back to check on her. How's the burger? Really good, Angie said, looking up with a small smile. Best I've had in a while. I'll tell Rick. He'll be happy to hear that. Angie put her fork down and looked at Mia more closely. What's your name? Mia, she answered, pointing to her name tag. How long have you worked here, Mia? 6 years now. Angie nodded, like this meant something to her. That's a long time. Must be hard work. It pays the bills. Most of them, anyway, Mia said, then wished she hadn't added that last part. You have a family? Angie asked. A son. He's 6. Something changed in Angie's eyes. They got softer, warmer. What's his name? Jordan. That's a good name, Angie said. She took another bite of her burger, then asked, Is it just you and Jordan? Mia nodded. Has been since he was born, pretty much. That can't be easy. We make it work, Mia said, not wanting to sound like she was complaining. Your coffee getting cold? I can bring you a fresh cup. I'm fine, Angie said. But I'd like to know more about you, if that's okay. Mia looked around the diner. There were only 2 other tables with customers, and they seemed fine for now. What do you want to know? What did you want to be? Before all this, Angie waved her hand around the diner. The question hit Mia hard. No one had asked her that in years. An accountant, actually. I was good with numbers in school. Why didn't you become one? Got pregnant my first year of college. Had to drop out. Then Jordan's dad left, and Mia shrugged. Life happened. Angie was quiet for a moment. My mom was a single mother too. Worked 3 jobs sometimes. I barely saw her growing up. Is that why you became a singer? To make enough money so she could stop working? Angie smiled. Smart girl. Yes, that was part of it. I bought her a house when my first album went gold. Mia tried to imagine what that would be like. Having enough money to buy someone a house. She couldn't even pay her rent. You've got a good energy about you, Angie said suddenly. You remind me of someone I knew a long time ago. Who? My mom, Angie said softly. Same strength in the eyes. Mia didn't know what to say to that. Being compared to Angie Stone's mother felt like a huge compliment. The bell above the door rang as a new customer came in. Mia glanced over. I should get that. Of course, Angie said. I'm almost done anyway. Mia went to seat the new customer, an older man who wanted just coffee and pie. When she came back to check on Angie, the singer had finished her meal and was looking at her phone. Can I get you anything else? Mia asked. Angie looked up, and for a second, Mia thought she saw tears in her eyes. But that couldn't be right. What would Angie Stone have to cry about? Just the check, please, Angie said. Mia had no idea that the next few minutes would change everything. By the time Mia cleared Angie's booth, the diner had quieted down. The last few customers were finishing their coffee, and Rick was cleaning the grill in the kitchen. She picked up the folded note with shaking fingers and slipped it into her apron pocket. She also grabbed the money Angie had left. Mia gasped. There were 5 $20 bills. $100 for a $12 meal. That was an $88 tip. You okay over there? Rick called from the kitchen. Yeah, Mia said, quickly tucking the money away. Just dropped something. She finished wiping down tables and refilling salt shakers, but her mind kept going back to the note in her pocket. It felt like it was burning a hole there. What could Angie Stone possibly have written to her? At 9 p.m., her shift finally ended. Darlene's replacement, a college kid named Tyler, had arrived to handle the night shift. I'm heading out, Mia called to Rick. See you tomorrow, he replied. Hey, was that really Angie Stone earlier? Yeah, it was. Wild. My sister's gonna flip when I tell her. Mia nodded and pushed through the back door into the employee break room. It was small, with just a table, a few chairs, and a row of lockers. She sat down on a bench and pulled out the note with trembling hands. For a moment, she just stared at it. What if it was nothing? Just a thanks for the service note? Or worse, what if Angie had noticed something wrong with her food? Taking a deep breath, Mia unfolded the paper. Her eyes scanned the first few lines, and her breath caught in her throat. Dear Mia, I don't know much about you, but in the short time I've been here, I've seen something rare. True strength. Watching how you handle this place with grace, even when tired, shows me how much power exists in everyday heroes like you. You remind me of my mother, someone very dear to me who taught me about hard work and kindness. I don't know your full story, but I can see in your eyes that you've carried more than your share of troubles. That's why I want to do something. No strings attached. Mia's hands began to shake as she continued reading. I'm leaving a small gift for you to use however you need, whether it's for your son, your future, or just a moment to breathe. I hope it brings you some peace. People like you deserve to be seen, and I see you. Angie. Folded inside the note was a check. Mia's heart nearly stopped when she saw the amount. $10,000. Her knees gave out and she sat down hard on the bench. Tears streamed down her face as she stared at the check. $10,000. It was more money than she'd ever held at one time. It was enough to pay her rent for months. Enough to buy Jordan new shoes, new clothes, maybe even a real bed instead of the pull-out couch he slept on. But why? Why would Angie Stone give her, a random waitress, so much money? Through her tears, Mia read the note again. You remind me of my mother. People like you deserve to be seen. It wasn't just the money that made her cry. It was the feeling that someone famous and successful had truly seen her struggle and cared enough to help. For the first time in years, Mia felt something she'd almost forgotten. Hope. Mia sat in the break room for what felt like hours, the check still in her hands. She tried to stop crying, but the tears kept coming. They weren't just tears of relief, but of being noticed after years of feeling invisible. She pulled out her phone with shaking hands and called the one person she knew would understand. Tasha, it's me. Can you come to the diner? Something happened. 20 minutes later, Tasha pushed through the back door of the diner. She'd been Mia's best friend since high school, the one who'd helped her through pregnancy, the birth, and all the hard years after. Girl, what's wrong? Is Jordan okay? Tasha asked, her face full of worry. Mia nodded, wiping her eyes. He's fine. He's still at Mrs. Wilson's. It's this. She handed Tasha the note and the check. Tasha read it slowly, her eyes growing wider with each line. When she got to the check, she let out a gasp. Wait, Tasha said, holding up her hands. You're telling me Angie Stone, the Angie Stone, came into your diner and left you this? Mia nodded, still in shock herself. She just sat there, ate a burger, talked to me a little, and then left this. Tasha read the note again, shaking her head in disbelief. Girl, this is crazy. Do you know what this means? This could change everything for you and Jordan. I know, Mia whispered, but it doesn't feel real. Why would someone like her care about someone like me? Tasha reached across the table and grabbed Mia's hands. Because she saw you, Mia. She saw what I've seen all along. You work harder than anyone I know, and you never let life break you down. People notice that kind of strength. Mia stared at the check again, her heart heavy with both gratitude and doubt. What if I don't deserve it? What if this is some kind of mistake? It's not a mistake, Tasha said firmly. You do deserve it. The question is, what are you going to do with it? That was the question, wasn't it? $10,000 was more money than Mia had ever had at once. It could pay off her debts, cover rent for months, maybe even let her take a class or two at the community college. But it scared her too. What if she messed it up? What if she spent it wrong? The weight of this unexpected gift felt almost as heavy as her struggles. I need to think, Mia said finally. I need to figure out what's best for Jordan. Tasha nodded. Whatever you decide, I'm here for you. But Mia, this is a good thing. Don't talk yourself out of a blessing. Mia folded the check and note carefully and put them in her purse. As she and Tasha walked out of the diner, the night felt different somehow. The same stars hung overhead, the same cars passed on the highway, but something had shifted. For the first time in years, Mia felt like she had options. And that was both wonderful and terrifying. That night, Mia sat at her kitchen table long after Jordan had gone to bed. The small apartment was quiet except for the occasional creak of the old pipes and the hum of the refrigerator that never quite worked right. The note and check lay in front of her, illuminated by the dim light above the table that flickered every few minutes. $10,000. The number kept repeating in her mind. It could pay their overdue rent. It could fix the car that broke down at least once a month. It could buy Jordan new clothes that weren't from the thrift store. It could even let her take a few classes at the community college. But as exciting as these possibilities were, they also scared her. Mia had been poor for so long that the thought of having money brought its own kind of fear. What if she spent it wrong? What if it disappeared as quickly as it came? What if people found out and tried to take advantage of her? She picked up the note again, reading Angie's words for the 10th time. People like you deserve to be seen, and I see you. Those words struck something deep inside her. How many years had she spent trying to stay afloat? Working double shifts, skipping meals so Jordan could eat, pushing herself until she was too tired to even think. And through it all, she'd felt invisible. Like the world didn't care if she made it or not. But Angie Stone had seen her. She'd seen her struggle, her determination, her strength. And in that moment of being truly seen, Mia realized this wasn't just about the money. It was about believing she deserved something better. She thought about her father, who had died when she was 19. He had always been her biggest supporter. "Don't let the world wear you down, kid," he used to say. "You've got fire in you." For the first time in years, she felt that fire flicker back to life. Mia pulled out a notepad and began writing down ideas, things she could do with the money that would create real change in their lives. Pay off the $1,200 in back rent. Fix the car once and for all, $800. Buy Jordan new clothes, shoes, and a real bed, $600. Set aside $2,000 for emergencies. Use $1,500 for a few accounting classes at the community college. That still left almost $4,000. She tapped her pen against the paper, thinking, what would create the most lasting change? A thought kept returning, growing louder each time. What if she could help others too? What if she took some of this money and paid forward Angie's kindness? Mia had seen so many people at the diner who were struggling just like her. Single parents who counted pennies to buy their kids a slice of pie. Elderly folks who ordered the cheapest thing on the menu because their Social Security didn't stretch far enough. What if she could ease their burdens, even a little bit? She wrote down one more item. Help others. $1,000. The plan wasn't perfect, and the road ahead still felt scary. But for the first time in a long time, Mia allowed herself to hope. Not just for survival, but for something more. As she folded the paper and tucked it away with the check, she made a promise to herself. This money wouldn't just change her present circumstances, it would change her future. Morning sunlight streamed through the thin curtains as Mia stood in the kitchen, watching Jordan eat his cereal. For once, she didn't have to rush to an early shift. She'd called Frank and asked for the day off, something she'd never done before. "Mom, why aren't you at work?" Jordan asked, milk dribbling down his chin. "I have some important things to take care of today," she said, wiping his face with a napkin. "And I thought maybe we could do something fun this afternoon." Jordan's eyes lit up. "Really? Like what? Maybe the park and ice cream after?" "Yes!" Jordan pumped his fist in the air, nearly knocking over his cereal bowl. Mia smiled, her heart full. When was the last time she'd been able to give him a simple treat like ice cream without worrying about the cost? After dropping Jordan at school, Mia drove to the bank. The check felt heavy in her purse, its presence almost too big to believe. She parked her car, the engine making that worrying rattle again, and took a deep breath before walking inside. The bank teller, a young woman with a bright smile, raised her eyebrows when she saw the check. "That's quite a deposit," she said, her tone polite but curious. Mia nodded, offering a small smile. "It's a gift." The teller didn't ask more questions, and Mia felt relieved when the check cleared without any issues. Seeing that amount in her account, 10,000, made her hands shake. Next, she drove to the rental office and paid off the $1,200 in back rent. The manager seemed shocked. "All caught up now," he said, printing her receipt. "No more eviction notices." "No more eviction notices," Mia repeated, the words tasting sweet. Her next stop was the community college. For years, she had walked past its campus, wondering what it would be like to sit in a classroom again. To learn. To grow. She parked her car and walked inside, her legs shaky but her steps determined. At the admissions desk, a kind-faced woman greeted her. "How can I help you today?" "I want to enroll," Mia said, her voice steady despite the nervous flutter in her chest. "In accounting classes." The woman smiled warmly. "You're in the right place. Let's get you started." As Mia filled out the paperwork, she felt a sense of purpose she hadn't known in years. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about showing Jordan that it was never too late to chase your dreams, no matter how impossible they seemed. By the time she left the admissions office, she was officially a part-time student. Classes would start in 3 weeks. She, Mia Johnson, was going back to school. And for the first time in a very long time, the future looked bright. Weeks turned into months, and the changes in Mia's life were nothing short of amazing. The $10,000 didn't make her rich, but it gave her something she hadn't had in years: choices. She still worked at the diner, but now it was 5 days a week instead of 7. Her evenings were spent either studying for her accounting classes or playing board games with Jordan. The dark circles under her eyes began to fade, and she found herself smiling more. "You look different," Rick said one morning as they prepared for the breakfast rush. "Happier." "I am," Mia replied, and she meant it. The car was fixed, really fixed, not just patched up until the next breakdown. Jordan had a new bed, new shoes, and enough clothes that Mia didn't have to do laundry every other day. Their apartment, while still small, now had working appliances and no leaky faucets. But the biggest change was in how Mia saw herself. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was building something. Her first accounting test came back with an A, and she'd taped it to the refrigerator next to Jordan's drawings. "My mom's going to college," Jordan proudly told his teacher during parent-teacher night. The teacher had looked at Mia with new respect, and Mia had stood a little taller. True to her plan, Mia had set aside $1,000 to help others. She kept it in a separate envelope labeled Angie's gift. When she saw a single mom at the diner counting change to pay for her kids' meals, Mia would quietly tell her the meal was taken care of. When an elderly regular mentioned he couldn't afford his medication that month, she slipped him on $100. These small acts of kindness were never announced or made public. They were private moments between Mia and those she helped, just as Angie's gift to her had been. One evening, as Mia was studying at the kitchen table, Jordan came and sat across from her. "Mom, can I ask you something?" "Sure, buddy. What's up?" "Tommy at school said his mom saw you on TV once. Were you on TV?" Mia looked up from her textbook, confused. "No, I've never been on TV. Why would Tommy say that?" Jordan shrugged. "I dunno. He said his mom saw a lady who looked like you talking to Angie Stone." Mia's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't told Jordan about Angie's visit to the diner or the check. It had felt too big, too unbelievable to explain to a 6-year-old. "Well, I did meet Angie Stone once," Mia said carefully. "She came to the diner a few months ago." Jordan's eyes widened. "The real Angie Stone? The one who sings on the radio?" "That's the one." "Whoa, did you get her autograph? Did you take a picture?" Mia shook her head. "No, but she was very nice." "Is that why we can do fun stuff now? Because you met her?" The question caught Mia off guard. Kids noticed more than adults gave them credit for. Jordan had clearly picked up on the changes in their lives. "Sort of," Mia said. "Angie helped us out a little bit, but the reason things are better is because I'm working hard at school and at the diner, just like you work hard at school." Jordan seemed to accept this answer. "Do you think she'll ever come back to the diner?" Mia paused. Would Angie Stone ever return? She didn't know. But in a way, Angie was with them every day, in the opportunities her gift had created, in the kindness Mia now passed on to others. "Maybe," Mia said, ruffling Jordan's hair. "But even if she doesn't, she helped us change our story, and that's pretty special." Jordan nodded solemnly. "I think she's nice. If I meet her, I'll say thank you." "That would be perfect," Mia said, her heart full. 1 year after Angie Stone walked into the diner, Mia stood behind the counter, looking at her reflection in the polished surface. So much had changed. She now worked as the assistant manager, a position Frank created for her after she showed him how to improve the diner's bookkeeping. Her accounting classes were going well. She had a 3.8 GPA and was halfway to her associate's degree. Jordan was thriving too. 7 years old now, he played soccer on Saturdays and was reading above his grade level. The dark days of counting pennies for lunch money seemed like a distant memory. The bell above the door chimed, and Mia looked up. It wasn't Angie Stone. It never had been since that night. But Mia no longer watched the door, hoping for her return. The gift had been given, the kindness passed on, the lesson learned. Today's customer was a young woman with a baby on her hip and exhaustion in her eyes. Mia recognized that look all too well. "Table for two?" Mia asked with a warm smile. The woman nodded, bouncing the fussy baby. "Is there somewhere I can heat up a bottle?" "Of course. I can do that for you while you get settled." As Mia heated the bottle in the kitchen, she made a decision. When she brought the woman her check later, it would be marked paid. Another small ripple from Angie's original act of kindness. Angie's gift had grown over the past year. Mia still put aside a little money each month, but now other staff members contributed too. Even some regular customers dropped $1 or $2 in the jar by the register labeled "Pay It Forward." That evening, as Mia drove home with Jordan, he asked a question that caught her by surprise. "Mom, are we rich now?" Mia glanced at him in the rearview mirror. "No, buddy, we're not rich. Why do you ask?" "Because we help people. Tommy says only rich people can help other people." Mia smiled. "That's not true. Anyone can help others, even in small ways. Sometimes the people who have struggled the most are the ones who help the most." Jordan thought about this. Like how Angie Stone helped us, and now we help other people? Exactly like that. As they pulled into their apartment complex, the same one they'd almost been evicted from a year ago, Mia felt a sense of peace. Her life wasn't perfect. There were still bills to pay and challenges to face. But now she faced them with hope instead of fear. One act of kindness had changed everything, and by passing that kindness on to others, Mia had changed herself. This story teaches us that kindness can change lives in ways we never imagine. One person seeing your struggle can spark a chain reaction of hope. But the lessons from Mia and Angie's story are just the beginning. Our next Elite Encounter story reveals something even more shocking. A secret that will make you question everything you thought you knew about famous musicians and their hidden lives. Don't miss it. Hit subscribe now, smash that like button, and share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Someone who could use a little inspiration today. If Mia's story touched your heart, imagine creating your own miracle. You may be wondering, how can I attract that kind of life-changing moment? The truth is, Angie's gift wasn't random. It followed universal laws of connection and giving. There is a powerful resource that reveals the missing pieces of manifestation that nobody talks about. This resource shows you how to tune into your personal destiny, just like Mia did when she was ready for change. You can check the link in the description to discover the #1 secret for manifesting wealth, happiness, love, and success into your life. The resource shows you how to harness your mind's power and connect with the universe's abundance. Your own miracle might be waiting.